It's Monday, December 23rd, 2024, and time for your Monday market update. Thanks for watching. If you're a bit like me, you have lists everywhere of the things you need to get done. You've got Christmas cards that still haven't gone out and 1,000 things on your mind of all the things that have to happen before Christmas in just 2 days. Christmas Eve is tomorrow. And so most people in the housing world are kind of focusing on holidays along with everybody else. And so we don't have a whole lot of activity right now. But let's take a quick look at your Montgomery County numbers and talk about it. What is going on? We had 71 new listings. That's actually surprising. In the last 7 days, we had 71 new listings. 71 people out there thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put my house on the market the week before Christmas. Okay, there is some logic behind that actually, so we'll talk about that. There's 91 that went under contract. That is actually, we are seeing nationwide an increase in pending contracts right now, year over year, but on a week-to-week basis. And that is even given that the interest rates went up last week. So that is surprising, but that is also an indication of what we expect to happen in 2025, and we'll dive more into that in a moment. We had 118 closed sales. Now keep in mind, the closed sales are more an indication of what was happening 30, 60, 90 days ago. So we are seeing closings. That's fairly normal for this time of year, believe it or not. I know a lot of people think, oh my gosh, who would want to close the week before or the last week of the year? But there are people out there who are fine with it. We had 21 price changes. That is normal as well, because if your home is sitting on the market right now, it might not be because it's priced too high. It might just be because it's a slow time of year. So I'm not super surprised that we don't have a lot of price changes right now. We had 3 expireds, also fairly normal, and we only have 28 currently on the private network. All of these numbers are sort of what I would anticipate. Now, let's talk a little bit about the new listings. Who would list their home right now? Well, if you think about it, the number one reason that people move, and this is nationwide, is because of family. They want to be closer to family. So at Christmas time, when people are home, visit, or maybe they flew in from out of town, this is a really common time for people to decide, you know what, we really want to move closer to family. We really want to make the jump, and they jump on Zillow or they jump on Redfin and they start looking for a home. And so there will be a lot of people going online during the next couple of days when they're with family. So it's actually not a terrible time to put your house on the market. It's not super common because who really wants to accommodate showings right now? Because that's the other thing, is that if you put your house on the market right now, you have to be willing to show your property, and that can be a little cumbersome right now. So that's kind of what's going on there. So I'm actually not super surprised that there's 71 new listings this week. 91 under contract. Now, interest rates went up last week. We had Jerome Powell giving a very Grinchy report about housing and about the mortgage rates. He wants to keep higher for longer. He's not anticipating a lot of cuts next year. So we had kind of a negative report from him. And so interest rates, in response to his comments, went up slightly. They're still in the high 6s, low 7s. And what I think is happening, why we are still having homes going under contract, just my personal opinion, is that people are kind of getting used to these rates. When I talk to people, when I'm out and about, people are like, what are rates at? Like 6.5, 7. And I'm like, yeah, that's about, ish, And most people are like, yeah, that's normal. We're hearing that more often. So I think people are starting to get the message that 3% is not a normal rate. That shouldn't be a thing. 4% really shouldn't even be a thing. 5 is a great rate. And if we see that again, we should be jumping for joy, dancing in the streets. So 6 really isn't that bad. 6.5, 7, and we anticipate, most economists are anticipating that we'll get down to 6.5 this year, which would be great. And I think people are just getting used to it. So that's part of why we're seeing homes still going under contract. And again, this is a year over year improvement. So we have more homes nationwide under contract right now than we did this time last year. That's according to Housing Wire. Price changes, 21. If you had your house listed right now and you weren't getting very many showings, would you say, oh, it's got to be the price? No, you would think it's the time of year. So I'm not going to do a price adjustment until maybe a couple weeks into the new year. So I would anticipate that number going up in a couple of weeks. We've also got 3 expireds. It's the end of the year that happens, and 28 on the private network. There's probably people just kind of waiting. So right now in the housing market, so we kind of operate on a 30, 60, 90 day timeline. So anything that I have listed right now, if it were to go under contract today, probably wouldn't close until February. So as far as we're concerned in the housing world, January's over. We're already into February. We might even be into March. So we're already well into the first quarter in the housing world. So right now, what you need to be doing if you're thinking about moving in 2025, especially if you think you're going to be moving in February, man, you got to get on the spot right now. Right now, if you think you want to move in February, you better be working with an agent right now. Now, I have talked to a few people recently who have said, oh yeah, I want to get my daughter to move out here. I want her to move closer to us. She lives in the city, this kind of thing. I just had that conversation at my nail appointment yesterday. And one of the things I was saying is, oh, well, is she working with an agent? And she said, no, she's just looking on Zillow. And she said, there was a couple of houses she didn't even know was on the market. And I said, yeah, they sold on the private network. That's common, especially in that particular neighborhood that she was looking at. So my message to you is a couple of things. One, if you think that you're going to move in 2025, make sure you are working with an agent. Make sure you get working with an agent right now, because the year is going to get going faster than you think. Our spring market starts after the Super Bowl. That's like 6 weeks from right now, maybe 7. But that's going to be here before you know it. So get ahead of it, especially if you have to sell your home. If you have to sell a home in order to buy a home, you need to be working with an agent 8 to 12 weeks ahead of when you actually want to move. I had a couple of clients asking me this year or just recently, hey, what's the timeline? Like if we want to move by May 1st, when should we get the house on the market? I said, we need to meet in probably February or March. If you want to be moving May 1st, we need to be starting talking, having me at your house, talking about what you're going to do to get the house ready to sell in February so that you have a few weeks to work on that. We can list by the end of March, and then you have like 6 weeks to get your house under contract, mid to end of March. I mean, it happens faster than you think. So you kind of got to be kind of on top of it, which is why right now I'm like yelling at all my clients who are like, oh yeah, I'll talk to you in March. I'm like, no, we need to be talking right now. We need to be talking right now, first week of January, getting our ducks in a row, because it does take a few weeks to get things going. Now, that doesn't mean that if you call me tomorrow, I can't get your house on the market tomorrow. I can't. But in order to do it in the best possible way, the sooner you start to an agent, the better. Number 2 is if you are planning on moving this spring, also work with my first point is work with an agent. My second point is also work with an agent. But on the buy side, it's because you need to be knowing what's on the private market. If you're just looking on Redfin or Zillow, you're missing a lot of what is on the market. So you need to be working with an agent so that you have access to those listings that are on the private market that you won't even see if you aren't working with an agent. So tip number 1, start talking to your agent now. Tip number 2, start talking to your agent now. I guess that's kind of my running theme, and that is my Christmas gift to you, is to start working sooner than later if you think that you're going to move in January 2025. And I will tell you, I've been a little skeptical because, I was predicting that the fourth quarter of 2024 was going to be so great, and it was not because of the election and rates going up. So I'm out of the prediction business. However, we do there are a lot of indicators saying that 2025 is going to be a better year than 2024 in the sense of prices are going to remain strong. They will probably continue to go up. Interest rates will moderate. They might come down a smidge, but they're probably there to stay. And we will have more transactions. We will have more people just deciding, this is as good as it's going to get. I got to move. Now's the time. So we do anticipate that we are going to have more transactions in 2025, which will mean a little bit more to choose from. We're going to start to make some headway. People are getting used to the interest rates. Affordability is still going to be tough, but it should be a fairly good year in 2025. And that's just around the corner. So this is my last Monday Market Update for 2024. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. All the things happy, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.